So I got the information that we had some technical issues, so we have to start from the beginning of this Motorsport MSc webinar. So welcome everyone on this wonderful Monday afternoon. I'm Szabolcs Kis and we are at the Széchenyi István University and we will introduce the Motorsport Engineering MSc. Here is with me Nimrod Udaser, who is one of the lecturer of this MSc program. We would like to talk about the overall information of this Motorsport MSc, and then we will have a short talking and with Nimrod about his career and why he is recommending this Motorsport MSc, and then you will have the chance to take your questions on the Q&A session. But at first, let's start with the information. The Motorsport MSc at the Széchenyi István University is a good launchpad who would like to work in the motorsport world. If you are dreaming about designing or testing these high-performance race vehicles, this is the best opportunity to study how you should make this. This program is located in Győr. This is a one-year-long MSc, and it's an international. It's only taught in English. And it's very important that it's a project-based learning, practice-oriented, because every student have to make different projects during the whole MSc program. The program structure is separated in two parts. In each part there are 3 modules, and in each modules there are 2 courses. In this case there are 12 courses during this one-year program. The next will start in next year, February, and the first cohort is already started in this year. As you can see, there are different modules which are 5 weeks long, and you will learn about the race vehicle suspension, data collection, drivetrain system, and engine measurement, and chassis design and electronics as well. On the next semester, you will have the chance to learn about race vehicle aerodynamics and CFD or FEM methods. These are the computational fluid dynamics or finite element methods with the simulation softwares. There are the race vehicle conceptual design and multi-body simulation, and the last module you have the chance to test the race car in simulator-based and also the real-world race vehicle testing. On the summer, between the 2 semesters, the students have the opportunity to have their practice at our partner teams. I will talk about our partner teams later, but in this case, there is a good opportunity for every student to learn from them on real-world or trackside practice. It's very important for us that not only traditional lecturers will teach the students, and half of the team are professional motorsport engineers. Most of them are from Hungary, but there are also engineers who work on the international motorsport industry, and you can see that there are different lecturers who have motorsport experience at the top level. There is David Bari, who is the head of the Mira Motorsport, Bettina Szelezsán, who is the alumnus of the Széchenyi István University. He was the member of the Arabon racing team, and currently she working at the Hyundai Motorsport. There is Daniel Borisov, who is the race engineer of Norbert Michelis and who were also at the Mira Motorsport before. Nimrod, who we will talk in this webinar, currently he works at the BDN, his own company, the BDN Automotive, but he also worked at the Koenigsegg, and as a freelance motorsport engineer, he worked with different teams. There is Máté Matuska, who currently works with the Start, but he will work at the Formula 1 team, but it's an Easter egg, I won't talk about that. And Marcel Treskai, who is also alumnus of the Széchenyi István University. He was the member of the Arbona racing team, and currently he working at the Audi Hungary. It's very important, as I told, that these motorsport experts will teach the students on different courses. But not only the courses, but there are motorsport expert sessions with 1 day long sessions. There are two lecturers from the international field, and there are 2 from Hungary as well, but they are working at a Formula 1 team. All of them have Formula 1 experience, and it's very important that students can have hands-on experience from these engineers, how the top level of motorsport working, and how they can go to these teams if it is their dream. As I said before, we have partnerships with different teams. It's very important because in this 1 year long program, students have the opportunity to learn from experts, but it doesn't matter if they don't have the practical experience. In this case, we have different partner teams, and we would like to increase their numbers because our partners can go to practice on the summer and later at the autumn as well, and they can learn by doing, because at these teams they can have the necessary practical experience as a trackside engineer or development engineer or any field that they are interested in. Currently we have partnership with Radical Motorsport, the Mira, the HRT Racing, which is a brand new and one of the most professional rally team in Hungary, and the Arbona Racing team, the Széchenyi István University's Formula student team. What is the necessary steps for the admission and to participate in this program? The final deadline for MSc application is end of this month, 13th June, but the extension may occur, so it doesn't matter if you didn't decide yet if you would like to participate in this program, because we would like to extend it until September. The fee of the program is 3,500 euros per semester for the international students, but there are scholarship opportunities at the university which are available for everyone. And how you can apply to this program? There will be a QR code on this presentation. You have to click on the join, and you have to fill out the online form and upload every required documents. After that, you have only wait for the admission and decision, and if you would like to some scholarship, then the scholarship outcomes. And last one, then if you get the official enrollment invitation, you only have to get the visa and the online introduction. And as I said, there is the QR code, so you can click on it, you can check the website and apply to the program. There will be one more QR code with the Q&A, but at first I would like to ask some question to Nimrod. So, Nimrod, before we dive into our questions, then let me have some introduction about you. So you started your career at the Széchenyi István University, and as an alumnus, after that you went to the industry, as I know, and went to an Motorsport MSc program, but not in here because there was no such an MSc here before. But you went to the Cranfield University. After you worked at the Koenigsegg, and currently you have your own company. It's a startup or just a SME?
I'll talk about it later.
Okay. So you have your company, and this is a very, very interesting journey. What was your motivation to work in the automotive industry and the motorsport industry as well?
Tough one, and gonna be a long one. So welcome everyone to this session. I hope you're gonna like it. And yeah, as Sabo said, please feel free to ask questions, and feel free to ask a lot of questions, because we are here to answer your questions, not ours, because we already know everything, hopefully, but you need the information. Getting back to the question, motivation, that is pretty clear, because you know, I was the kind of a child who knew what I wanted, basically. So ever since I was, I don't know, like 10 years old, I always knew that I want to work with cars. I like car racing, so this is the career what I want to do. And I sort of organized my career steps to go on this way. So I went to high school, studied a lot of physics, a lot of maths, a lot of chemistry, you know, sort of science subjects, because this is what I had interest in. Also, in the meantime, I helped my dad fixing cars, and you know, if I got any sort of like equipment, like a new whatever cell phone, I immediately took it apart. I had to look under the hood, you know, what's in it and how it works. Sometimes I've managed to assemble these stuff as well, sometimes I didn't, but this is how you learn. And basically after high school, I applied for a vehicle engineering degree, because as it was advertised, you know, they always said that you're going to work with vehicles, you're going to be the one who are designing these vehicles, you can make these faster. Of course, I loved Formula One, so all these things were basically pulling me in the same direction. And after actually getting into it and starting to study a bachelor's course in vehicle engineering, I had to realize that this is not the end. So of course, when you start an engineering course, especially a bachelor's, the first 2 years is not going to be about cars. It's definitely not going to be about cars. So you need to study physics, mechanics, drawing, simulations, everything. So a lot of things which you would think that you will never use, but this is not true. So of course, some of these things you will never ever use because these courses are not specialized, and your work later is probably going to be very, very specialized, because you will work on one aspect of the car, of the development, of whatever. Or even if you work with project management, then your main focus is project management, and you're only like overseeing everything else. But to get back to the point, these are the years where you need to do like heads down and go straight forward and like get over it, because you need to get the basics done. Once the basics are done, of course, you're going to specialize, and you will basically do more and more interesting things as you progress. But still, like in the sort of original university structure and the original like educational structure in Hungary, at least, as it was not project based, we had like courses and everything, but the hands-on part was not a lot. So I know like a lot of people who we went to the same university with, we were course mates. Everyone was doing something besides the university. And whether you do Formula Student, whether you're, I don't know, start go-karting, start drifting, fixing cars, whatever, at least you need to do something besides the university, because the standard educational structure gives you the theoretical knowledge. Bit of like simulations, but not so much practical. So in the original structure, you had to put the practical part next to it in order to become a good engineer. And this is what we are trying to do a bit differently, or at least I know the guest lecturers who are coming from the industry, and we're not teachers. And this is very, very important to say, that we don't teach in a way that it is taught. So we teach in a way that it's used in the industry. So, and this is, I think, a very, very important like differentiator factor, that that you can actually learn the real thing.
And the state-of-the-art thing, because it's very important.
Exactly.
If you have industry experience from the previous years, it's okay. But if you have current industry experience, this is the state-of-the-art, how the work currently works.
Yeah, I mean, motorsport is of course is a developing thing. So it needs to be new what you teach. Otherwise, if it's like 10 years old, it's a nice piece of history. Of course, you can still learn from it, but it's part of the basics. And if you want to go to the high-end teams, let's talk about F1, but not only F1, because everyone who's studying a motorsport engineer course, I had a very good friend. He was actually my course director in Kremfield. In the very first day when I got there, he asked the question, who wants to work in F1? And like 95% of the people, 2 hands up, I want to be the next F1 engineer. He asked the same simple question at the end of the course. Maybe 20-25%. Because we also had to learn that there's not only F1, there's MotoGP, there's like, just to mention one very, very important race category for me, which I really love, which is sidecar racing. Like, if you haven't ever watched sidecar racing videos in MonTT, please do it. And you will understand that for that kind of motorsport, you still need the old school skills and balls basically to ride those things, because it's dangerous as hell. So it's very important that, of course, motorsport is dangerous, but we are trying, we're engineers, to make it safer, make it, you know, more like politically correct as well, because it needs to stay with us. And if we keep like the original roots, like for example, what the F1 was in the 60s or 70s or in the 80s even, we couldn't even do it anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get back to the main topic and motivation. So after finishing my my bachelor's course, or even during finishing my bachelor's course, I went to a race mechanic garage, Havasi Motorsport. I started assembling Lada engines, which is Russian old school rally car. Of course, it's very, very famous in Hungary and in Eastern Europe.
Very popular.
It's, you know, like the MK1 Cossi in the UK, or the MK1 Escort in the UK. Pretty same thing, historic race car. But of course, I had to learn, you know, the basics as well, and how to clean an engine, how to build an engine, how to maybe design an engine. And after that, I also worked in the OEM field for about like a year, or maybe even a bit more. It was also a good step, because in the OEM field, you can you have the opportunity to use state-of-the-art devices, like development tools, dynos, simulation environment, hill testing, whatever. And it's not like such a focused environment as motorsport. It's not such a like a paced environment. So you don't need to be as quick. You have time to learn. You have time to think. And this is why I think it was also an important step to gain a little bit of experience in these fields. And after that, I went to Kremfield, as you described, to do my motorsport MSc course. When I arrived there, I was waiting for something when I applied for the vehicle engineering course, even here. And I actually started in Budapest and came here 2 years after, but doesn't really matter. I had something in my mind, what I want, and I never got it, because there was only, you know, there was always something that, okay, you need to step through this, and the next step will be the one which you're actually waiting for. And that was actually the step when I went to the Motorsport MSc. When I started learning the things what I actually wanted about cars, about race engines, about powertrain, about simulations, structures, all the elements of the car, even like when we talk about vehicle dynamics and these thick books, it was fun. And it was fun because all of the students who are there are actually having and sharing the same sort of motivation. So all what I can say is, like, when I went to the library at 2 a.m., there were at least like 5-10 motorsport students doing their assignments, or simply, you know, watching YouTube videos about different car racing series, because it was a community there.
Yeah.
And this is very, very important, that this is something what we want to build here as well. We want to have a motorsport community in Europe. We want the students to be around and share the same kind of experience, because this is what is going to make you a good engineer at the end.
Yeah. And after your motorsport MSc, you went to Koenigsegg, which is not motorsport, but it's like motorsport, because they are hypercars, high performance vehicles, and you had the opportunity to develop these vehicles drivetrain. How was this experience? And can you talk a little bit about, was it an advantage for you to go there that you had this motorsport MSc?
Yeah, I forgot to mention one thing. I was also part of the Formula student team here in Széchenyi University. And like combining that and combining the experience what I had outside the university. So I basically bought a tuner car, or bought a car for my thesis project, stripped down, rebuilt the engine and built the water methanol injection kit just for my thesis. Of course, not just for my thesis, because it was fun as well, but you know, the main thing behind it and the main reason was to do my bachelor's thesis project. And I've done my master's thesis project on that car as well. So combining all these experiences and the motorsport MSc degree was basically the way to go into Koenigsegg. Okay. And in our team, I was part of the software engineering team and responsible for the ECU software development and calibration and homologation and testing. So it was a very, very small team, and it's not like an OEM team or structure. So we were basically developing the ECU ourselves in like coding, also calibrating it on the dyno in the car and different test benches, and going with the car to all the test trips, to all the homologation trips. So it was a little bit of everything. And in our team, everyone had Formula student experience. And I think it was like 50 or 60% of the people were actually having a motorsport MSc degree.
Oh, okay.
So it's definitely beneficial to all these environments. Although, as you said, Koenigsegg is definitely not motorsport, but it's somewhere between. So like to give you an example, a proper OEM calibration team, like for Audi, Volkswagen, whatever brands, it consists about, I don't know, 30, 40 people. And you're developing a car for 2 years, let's say, depending on what you're doing, of course. But let's say this is the average. Versus in proper motorsport world, you have an engine. You maybe have a couple of days or maybe a couple of weeks on the dyno. And I'm not talking about Formula One. Maybe you have an engine dyno, maybe not. Maybe you just have the car. But maybe you just have a test track where you have a brand new engine in the car and you have like 1 day to set it up. And then the next day it goes to racing. Or if we talk about drag racing, I mean, those engines don't even survive a dyno pool. So this is the difference between OEM and motorsport. And Koenigsegg is somewhere in between. So of course there's a small team, agile workmanship and agile teams.
With higher responsibility.
Of course, higher responsibility. So the responsibility is always high in whichever sector of motorsport you're talking about, because you need to oversee the whole project, not just one. Like, let's say you're designing the piston and someone else is designing the connecting rod. And of course, you need to speak to each other. But in motorsport world, you're designing the whole crankcase mechanism. So this is like the analogy, I think, for this. And yeah, so Koenigsegg is somewhere in between. This is why they are hiring from motorsport and from the automotive sector as well. But what they're looking for is of course, I mean, with all the paperwork, to be honest, you need to stand out. So I was also part of the team, or responsible for, like, you know, reviewing CVs when we expanded our team at Koenigsegg. And of course, when you're reading like hundreds of CVs every day, something needs to stand out. So you need to do something special in order to get to these roles. It's not enough if you complete a motorsport MSc course and you have all the good marks and everything, because, you know, someone else will have a tuner car and we'll show that, okay, he's going to track days every week, and he's doing this and that kind of whatever nitro system development in his car. This is something, you know, what stands out. And after that, you have, when you shortline the whole thing, like you have 5 CVs on your table, you're going to talk to all the people. And I think the final decision is always made on motivation. And at least this is how we hire at BDN. I always look for the motivation, because this is something that I cannot give to someone. I can teach anyone. You know, you can learn everything. If you're a good engineer, there are the courses, there's the textbook, there's everything. You will learn how to do it. It's not a problem if you don't know it yet, but it's a problem if you don't have the motivation for it, because this is something I can only take away if I'm not managing correctly the team.
Yes. My last question about your career, then we will talk about the Motorsport MSc. Yes, you are already mentioned that you are, how you hiring people in your company, but yes, you have a pretty successful SME. Currently you got some investment, and what you will also hunt or hire some new people for your company. What counts for you? So if you see new, if you see students or new professionals, for example, on the Motorsport MSc program, what matters for you if you would like to hire to the BDN Automotive?
Clearly motivation.
Only motivation?
Of course, skills, very, very important. Like when you hire someone, you need to have like a job poster in mind that, I don't know, I'm looking for a software developer, so there are like given amount of skills what they need to have in order to work in that team. And now I'm not only talking about like thought skills, but soft skills as well, like communication, presentation skills. It's very important. We are a small company, so for every like I cannot say group, because it's going to be a one-man show for like software development, for structural design, for project management, for like simulations. So I need someone who can be responsible for the whole thing, and it's not just, you know, being able to work in a team and you know, saying all these big words, but being able to work alone under pressure. This is very, very important in not just motorsport, but also in these like high-paced environments. And a startup company or an SME is definitely that kind of environment. And what we're dealing with is powertrain development for like sustainable powertrain development, which is basically hydrogen-driven engines. This is also going to be part of the future of motorsport, and like a lot of teams and a lot of series are considering getting hydrogen into their regulations. Like for example, Le Mans. I've read some articles, and if I'm not mistaken, from 2026 or 2028, they will have a category for hydrogen ICE cars. Of course, you know, we need to do something to turn this whole like beloved motorsport into a sustainable future, because we want to keep it, at least for ourselves, if, you know, we can say something like this. But yeah, this is I think the most important thing, to have the motivation and be able to work under pressure.
So the soft skills, it matters as well.
You know, everything else is very easy to judge.
Yeah.
Because if someone is like, let's stay with the software developer role. If someone is a good software developer, then you see it. So if they submit an assignment or a task or whatever, you immediately see from the quality of the work that he can actually do it. But the question is not if he can do it, but if he wants to do it and if he wants to develop it further.
Okay, so let's jump to another field. But between your career and the motorsport, Motorsport MSc at the Széchenyi István University, why did you join as a lecturer to this program?
There's probably an official story as well, but I'm going to tell you the unofficial one.
Okay.
my how do you say, my thesis advisor was Dr. Bana Hanula, who is also part of the MSc course. He's like one of the best lecturers during the course. He's teaching drivetrains, and like he was teaching me when I did my bachelor's course. And as I said, he was my thesis advisor, and I got into like a very special relationship with him. So we talked about it a lot. And when I went to Grenfell, I started speaking with him again about my experiences. And I sort of like kept saying and kept telling him that you can do better. And you can make a better master's course. You can actually do Motorsport's master's course in Budapest or in Endure as well, in Hungary, because it is entirely possible. Especially with the student teams here, the Arbona Racing team, Senjin. There are a lot of motorsport-focused individuals already in the university, and you have a lot of alumni who is working in the motorsport field around the globe. So why not? And after like these discussions, of course we had a COVID, so a little bit of time elapsed, which is fine because we had different situations and difficulties in the world, to say so. But there was a time when Daniel Fasti called me if I actually want to join as a guest lecturer, and of course I immediately said yes, because this was sort of not my dream, but one of my goals, you know, to give something back to the community where I am from, and to help others to like accelerate their career. Because if I had these sort of opportunities to study in Hungary, then maybe I would end up in the UK. Although UK is considered as like the heart of motorsport, but still, it doesn't mean that you need to be there to be a motorsport engineer. So this is why we started the whole thing, and this is why we started the whole thing with a focus on like practical things. So we don't, at least if I can talk about my module a bit. So I'm teaching race vehicle measurement and testing, which is basically, in a simple term, ECU, PDU, programming, setup, and a little bit of like data acquisition systems and diagnostics. I'm teaching it in a way that I'm only teaching the practical things. So everything else, what you need to learn to understand the whole thing, you can go home and learn it. I don't need to be there. So for all those things, you have all the research papers, all the books, and the internet, ChatGPT, AI, whatever. All the sources basically are publicly available, and also we're posting some sort of like lists of what you need to read. But it's much more important to learn about how it's actually done in the reality, in the real world. And this is why we're also taking students to the dyno, doing measurements on the cars, analyzing some data. So for example, my course was not having an exam, because like how could I make an exam? How can I check if you can tune a car? Like I need to give you a car, and like you need to do it in reality. So this is why it was like an assignment at the end of the course, and all the students, for example, had to write about how we have tuned the car, which we have tuned on the dyno, what sort of data we had. We had combustion analyses, we had ECU data, we had all the ECU log files, the setup files, all the dyno data. So it's a lot of data. Data is a very good friend of race engineer. And basically, if you see the relation between every parameter and can make an engineering judgment on, okay, now we have measured this, let's do that. Or if we have not done that, then there's always a workaround. So you need to be able to say why. So I'm not interested in like, okay, we've measured this, and I don't know, peak cylinder pressure was 120 bar. Yeah. Cool, you can read. But why? Or if it wasn't, then why? So it's always, that's the question, what you need to understand. Yeah, and in this case, you make the opportunity for students to have this practical experience on a dyno. And yeah, what do you think? Is it an
advantage here at the sze.hu University's Motorsport MSc, or what do you know? What is your current state-of-the-art knowledge about the other MSCs in the world? Because we are working on it that make it more practical, make it more project-based. So every student have to work on different projects, on different courses. And as I said, they have the opportunity to work at different partner teams. And what is your experience, or for example, at the Cranfield, or do you hear from other fellow engineers who learned at same MSc programs? What is your experience with it?
Basically, my experience is it sort of leads me back to the DNA of this course, and let's talk about like the ILOs, which is a lot of times mentioned during these like educational speeches, which is the intended learning outcome. And in my opinion, the intended learning outcome for this course is to oversee the connection between theoretical studies, simulation, and practical studies, so experience and experiment. It's very, very important that you cannot talk about measurements without measuring. So of course you need to understand the basics, like how an engine works. You know, there are some laws, gas law, whatever, physics. Of course, because there is a physical process happening inside the engine, which is turning the chemical energy into something which first rotates, and there is pressure, and at the end you have a car moving forward. So there's a lot of like energy transition in this whole field, which you need to understand in order to be able to design it, calibrate it, write software to it, understand it in a whole. And of course, with today's computational capabilities, if we don't simulate something, we're stupid. So it's very, very simple. Just look at the F1 regulations. Of course, testing is sort of banned. They have a couple of chances, but it's very, very limited. Now they're limiting even the engine dyno time, because it's also part of the testing. They're limiting the wind tunnel testing time, but now they're also limiting, like for example, the CFD simulations and how many cores you can run, how many simulations you can do, because it's a very, very, very powerful tool. And if your simulations are validated, then basically you're doing development in a virtual environment. And this is very, very important to understand, that simulations are important because of this. Theoretical studies are important because of that. But at the end, if you don't measure, like I can quickly generate you 1,000 horsepower, 1 liter engine in any sort of engine simulation software, because the computer can do it. Okay. But in real life, it's never going to happen. So you need to like validate your simulations, and this is what happens in experimental testing. And then you go around the circle again. So you go back to theoretical studies, you do a bit of simulation, you do a bit of testing, or the other way around. And also you need to focus on like what is accessible and what is available for you. And for example, what worth doing. Because if something takes, I don't know, 3 months to simulate properly, like with combustion CFD and everything, and you have an engine dyno, which is empty, and you have an engine which is not used, and you can risk it, it's probably easier to, you know, just run a quick set of tests. So it's not like hard-coded that you need to do this and that and that. You need to do whatever worth doing and whatever comes next in your development step. Yeah. But if it's built up, then you always have a next step. And I think this is the most important like benefit of this course, that we're teaching in this way. So we're doing simulations, we're doing practicals, we're teaching a bit of like the theoretical part as well. At least like my module was not a theoretical module. So I have focused on the simulation and the practical part, but like this like triangle, I think is the main thing. What is the strength of the course at sze.hu University?
Okay, and so I also studied here on my BSc and MSc, and I made my MSc on the vehicle engineering MSc, which was also project-based course. This was maybe one of the first in this field. And why do you think? What do you think? Why is it better if you would like to work in the motorsport area to have a motorsport MSc than a normal mechanical engineering or a vehicle engineering MSc?
Probably knowledge-based, you're going to be the same. But motorsport is about networking. So if you really want to be in motorsport, really want to work in motorsport, then you need to put the energy into it. And talking about that part is also very important to have the connections. Connections are not coming for free, you need to work hard for them. So also cram-filled experience, they always said network, 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 which we say here as well, because it's true. Mm-hmm. So you need to be at the events, go to any sort of like whatever grassroots challenge it is. You need to be there, see the cars, see the people, and get into this whole community, because this is how, like for example, if you're at an event, and I sort of had that experience as well, I was just there as like a spectator, and a car went wrong, there was some problem with the ECU. I sort of, went there because it was interesting to see what's happening. And at some point I started fixing the car with my laptop because I had a cable with me. So you can actually get to these things if you're there. If you're not, you're out of the whole thing. So it's not for the people who are, want to work from home office.
Yeah.
It's definitely not a home office acceptable job.
Yeah. We have time for one more question, because then we have some questions from the audience. So what would you say to the students who are considering applying for this program?
Tough one. What I can suggest to you is you need to be honest to yourself, and what you put into it, that is only the amount, what you can take out from it. So with let's be honest again, because I'm not a teacher and I hopefully can say these things. Probably you can finish any sort of university course without doing anything with the help of AI. But at the end, you're going to get a paper, fine. Maybe if you get there, you will not get a job. Because if I were, the hiring manager, I would notice it immediately that you have not done your homework. Or maybe if you get a job, you're out in 2 months because you just simply cannot cope with the requirements of the job. So what I can only suggest is, if this is something you really want, then come here, because we as a university are giving you the tools and the opportunities to develop yourself, but you need to put the effort in. And this is going to make you the best race engineers, one of the best race engineers.
Thank you, Nimrod. We have almost 50 minutes for the questions. We have a lot of questions here. So I will read them, and for some of them I can answer, maybe because they are more technical, related to the course, but I hope you can also answer some of them.
Let's hope.
So the first one, is it required to have a BSc in any engineering field to attend this MSc course successfully? So yes, it's required. There is 2 reasons for that. The first one, this is one of the standard requirement from the university. If you would like to make an MSc on the engineering field, you will need a BSc in the engineering field as well. But the second one, if you didn't have any engineering background, you will have problem with the fundamentals. And in this case, so this is a very so the modules are 5 week long, and it's quite a short time, and there is no time to get all the fundamentals. And in this case, if you hear at first about simulation softwares or suspension or on other topics, there you will have a lot of disadvantage in this field, in this case. So this is why you need a BSc, and yes, as I said on the beginning, this is a requirement from the university as well.
It's pretty practical. Like, for example, if you don't know how to code in MATLAB,
yeah,
this was my very, very first task. Like, I have weekly tasks for the students, and my very first task was like, I gave them data, please analyze and make like a BOP checker tool. You can use whatever you want, MATLAB, MoTac, even Excel, but I'm not going to teach you the methodology and the tool chain. You need to have that, because I'm only teaching you like what to do with it, and not like, okay, what does it mean if I don't know, write this step in these order, basically in a MATLAB code.
Yeah.
Or what do you do with arrays, or I don't know. So it's required.
Yes,
it's
yes,
good.
and it's much harder if you don't have any background in it. The second question is, might have missed it because I had short period of cutting the feed, but what the educational skill related requirements are there to apply? So if you click, here is the apply now, this is the QR code, it gets you on the Motorsport MSc website, and when you would like to apply, there is the admission website. There are all the requirements for the applying. And there is the second question connected to this. Can it be done beside a 40-hour job? So it's hard because there are students currently who making it beside the 40-hour job, but it's very hard. So there are blocked lessons which are mainly for the whole day. You have the at least 2-week-long practice, but it's not enough. You need to do more. And I don't know if you have enough holiday for that. So we are waiting for the feedback from the students as well, that if they can do it beside a 40-hour job. But it's also, as I said for the previous question, it's much higher than if you are only focusing for this for 1 year, because this is an intensive MSc program, and if you are working beside this, it will be harder. But you also have some experience with it because you are teaching the students who are working.
I've experienced from both sides.
Yeah.
And first I'm going to tell you the Cranfield one. When I was in Cranfield, I already had my own business, BDN. So of course it was not an official 40-hour job, and I was living on campus, but I had something to do besides the university studies. And there I'm going to be honest, I slept like 4 hours every day for a year. It's doable, entirely doable. If you're focused enough and if you're motivated enough, then it's doable, it's fine. But from the other side, being a lecturer, I also see on the current students, I can tell who works 40 hours immediately from their assignments, from the quality of their work, what they submit. Again, getting back to the same point, you're only be able to, or you're only going to be able to take out the amount what you put in. So if you actually are motivated and want to be a motorsport engineer, forget about having a job. Maybe get a project car, or maybe even if you have a job, like apply for any sort of like motorsport related jobs. Maybe you're not going to earn the same amount of money. Maybe you're not going to earn any money, but at least you learn. So you're here to learn. You're not here to, make a living out of it, because this is the investment in your future.
Yes, it's very true. And the investment to your future. The next question is, what are the career prospects after completing this course? So, as Nimrod said,
depends on you.
Depends on you. It's all on you, because we are working on building a community, not only from students, but also from lecturers and motorsport experts. This is the first year of the Motorsport MSc at the Széchenyi University, and you already could check, I go back. So 6 or 4 normal lecturers are from the motorsport industry, and 4 guest lecturers or F1 experts who are only have this 1 day long sessions. And they are currently working on the motorsport industry. They have network in this field, and yes, it depends on you. It's not only on the education, it's also on the network. So if you can have a good network with them, if you would like to apply a job and you just as you see, Andor, for example, Andor and Shandor, they are currently working at F1 teams. And if you not only apply to a job to the Aston Martin F1 team, then you send a message to Andor that, hey Andor, you teach me and I would like to apply to a job. And
he's gonna get a lot of messages now.
Yeah. But it can be much easier. So yes, it depends only on you what you can reach after the 1 year program.
Yes, also it's you know, it's the same thing when you attend to, let's say, a guest lecture or something. The people who are sitting in the first row and asking all the questions are going to be the ones who will have a successful career in motorsport. And I'm not, you know, saying this for having more people in the first row and having more questions during these sessions, but it's simply based on my experience and what I see. So these people are definitely pushing to get to these positions. And if you're just like sitting and applying for 2 jobs or 3, you're not going to get there. You need to apply for thousands. You need to be able to travel to the UK, to Germany, to Switzerland, to wherever for a job interview, just because why not? You need to have this motivation in you. If not, you're definitely not going to have a very like successful and good motorsport career. Like it's also it's not different now than it was in the past. Like if we're talking about Barna, he was also back in I think 1989. That was the time when he went to Germany, if I'm not mistaken. He also put together all his stuff in his car and traveled to Germany because of a job opportunity for a job interview. So this is, you know, the differentiator. When I applied for Koenigsegg, I had an online interview because it was COVID, of course. But then, like the next day, they gave me a call, like, okay, what are you doing next week, Monday and Tuesday? And I was like, I don't know, what should I do? And they asked me to travel to Sweden to be there for 2 days without giving me anything, without giving me any like job opportunity before, because it was a part of, like, you know, the test procedure. And yeah, so you need to be able to do these things, and not just, you know, financially, because of course that's a question as well, but I think the very important question, are you ready for it mentally, and do you have the motivation for it? Because if you have the motivation for it, anyone can get the money for that trip. You go to be a bartender. I was a bartender for half a year as well to get some money for my Cranfield MSc. So it's not a shame if you do these things in order to, you know, achieve your goals.
Yes. And one side story to this, so as I said, one of the Motorsport MSc lecturer will work at the F1 in a few months, and he also applied to a lot of jobs for more than 1 year, and he is one of a good friend of mine, and he also said that at first he didn't get any response. At second, he get response. At third, he also was invited to interviews, but after 1 or first round, he was kicked. And he came to the Motorsport MSc as a lecturer, and after that he had the chance to have more interviews with one F1 team, and currently he won the job. And for example, he talked a lot about how an F1 interview goes. So this is the experience that you cannot collect on without a MSc program like this.
This gives you the tools, this gives you the network, it gives you the opportunity. So we open the doors, and we also like kicking you through the door, try to give you the first kick, but you are the one who needs to step.
Yeah. That is a very good question. What kind of degree do you recommend the most to start this MSc with? So what are so on the admission side, you can see the pre-requirements, but what do you think? What are the hot jobs currently in the motorsport field? Software development, mechanical engineering, or electrical engineering?
Check the list of the modules, basically.
Okay.
They're different professions each. So of course, you cannot be a powertrain and suspension analyst in the same time, because these are 2 like completely different areas of the car, or aerodynamics, or structural design, carbon fiber, or any sort of like composites. These are all different fields. And like the good thing in the motorsport engineering course is, of course, when you're part of a team, you need to be able to speak to the others. Like talking about myself, I'm a powertrain guy and I'm an engine guy. So only internal combustion, no electric powertrain for myself, because I leave it to the ones who actually know what those things are doing. But I need to be able to have a discussion like with an EV developer, with a suspension developer, because we're working on the same car. And this is what I experienced a little bit at Koenigsegg as well, that, okay, I'm tuning the engine, but someone is tuning the suspension, someone is tuning the ESP system or the brakes or the aerodynamics, and we need to be able to work together. So this is why we're teaching a little bit about anything, like every topic. And of course, you need to choose which is yours. And this is why it's important to have your own project during the summer, because you will need to go like dive deep into your own topic and also learning about everything else, you know, to connect the dots.
Yeah, there are a lot of questions. Okay, there is a question about tuition fee. So is the tuition fee the same for domestic and international students? No, but there is more information about the domestic students on the Hungarian side of the admission. It was short, but it's a very important question. The next one is, I have read this on website. Applicants can with other types of BA or BSc degrees can also apply, but will have to fulfill some additional requirements. So can I apply with my computer science degree? Definitely. So you can apply, it's no problem. But yes, as we said, it's good that you have some engineering background or STEM background. But yes, you have to fulfill additional requirements during the first semester.
So it's probably worth, if you have any question like this, writing an email and stating like what degree do you have, because you know this is also, in my eyes, I'm not part of like, you know, the official structure of the university, but what I can say is that it already shows the motivation that you want to be part of it, and you're, you know, looking for the opportunity and how to do it. What other steps do you need to fulfill in order to be part of it? So I think it's a good first step.
Yeah, there is a question, but with some beginning, but I read out only the important part. Do international students need to know the Hungarian language to apply for this course? So no, the MSc program is in English. All of the courses are in English, and yes, there are Hungarian students and international students as well, but yes, students don't have to talk Hungarian if they would like to apply to this program. And we have time for one more question. So maybe I just missed the information, but what is the number of weekly lectures? Are the lectures in the week time as in full-time course, or rather in the weekend like correspondence course? So I go back to the structure. So yes, these are full-time courses. You can see the structure. So there are modules. These are 5-week-long modules, and there are two lectures or 2 courses are in every module, but this is very intensive. So you will learn 14-week-long material in 5 weeks. So you will have more than one lecture. So mostly there are blocked lectures with whole day sessions. So yes, there is a lot of lectures, and but it's for 1 year only, so 2 semesters. So it's a little bit harder than a 2-year-long MSc program, but yes, it's a full-time course, and there are no courses on weekend.
To give you a little bit of example, my lectures are, of course, blocked for every week. So I was here, I think, what was it, Tuesdays or Thursdays from 9 a.m. until usually 8 p.m. or even 9. Of course, I had like a short guest lecture at the end, which was like an hour or hour and a half. I also brought some F1, some rally guys, some people from the industry to speak about their experience and share the passion of motorsport, basically.
Yeah.
But okay, you could say that this was one day, and there is probably another day for the other course, which is in the same like 5 weeks module, and these are only 2 days. But I also gave a lot of homework, and it's not considered as, you know, homework as in high school. It's considered as homework what you actually want to do, what you need to do, like doing simulations, doing data analysis. So in a normal word, I would say you can pass the requirements if you at least put like 1 or 2 more days into it. If you want to be the best, then you need to put every week like 40 hours all into my course. And then you have something else in the meantime. So weekly 70, 80 hours is again doable. I've done it. It's hard, but it will have its results.
Okay, and one extra question, but this is only because it was sent twice, so maybe it's very important, but yes, it can be important if you would like to do a career in the motorsport. So how much can one earn after completing this course? What is the entry level designation, and what is the highest position one can attain? So about the salary in motorsport.
If you're doing it for money, start learning about finances and start trading. Probably it's gonna worth more. You're not doing it for money, you're doing it for passion. Of course, if you're successful enough, you're gonna earn a lot of money as well. So there are some high numbers, like for example, Adrian Newey's salary is I think public, and it's a couple of millions of euros every year. My salary is not that range. And it was never, of course, now I'm an entrepreneur, so it's a different thing. But when I was employed, for example, by Koenigsegg, I can't tell you the official numbers, but I would say entry level within Europe from 3,000 to 5,000 euros a month gross. This is my unofficial guess. If you are experienced, which means that you have at least 4 to 5 years experience, then it can go higher. And if you're an expert in a topic, and this is why it's very, very important, to specialize in a topic and go get a deep dive into, I don't know, combustion analysis or piston design or whatever, then you can earn almost unlimited, because you're going to be needed for that specific task, and there's no one else. So if you do the homework and do the preparation well and build up your career in a way that you can arrive there, then of course that will be the reward.
Yes, and I think it's also depends on your career path. So what are you working? Are you on entry level, senior level? Are you manager at team? For example, if you are going to a F1 team, it's a bigger company, so you can reach higher positions. But if you are working on a smaller team, you can have bigger responsibilities, but maybe there is not a big career opportunity because you will be on one position. And my experience, for example, we had a guest lecturer on the FS Symposium when I was the organizer of the event, which is also held in the Széchenyi University. And there was Owen Carles from Red Bull F1, who was a manager at the structural team. And he said that he bought a Porsche from one of his bonus after they won the World Championship. So yes, it's
Exactly.
also reachable, but it's not the normal. So it's very important that when you are beginning your motorsport career, as Nimrod said, you don't make it for money. But later, if you are specialized and if you are very good in your profession, you can have a much better salary than the normal automotive industry.
But I think this is also the same for every industry, for every
Yes.
profession, that if you're very good at it, you will earn a good money with it. But you need to put in first the energy and the effort. So
Yes.
don't look for the money first, and also like go volunteer. And this is my like best advice is go to events, find teams, and just tell them that, hey, I'm a motorsport engineering student from the Motorsport MSc in Deur. They will know it because they have read about it in the newspaper and everywhere. And just tell them that, okay, I want to help you. I want to change tires. I want to help you clean up the truck, clean the cars, whatever, be there and gain some experience. It's the same as if you were a racing driver. Everyone would say seat time. So you get their practice. This is the same thing. As an engineer, seat time is being with a team and helping the team to grow, helping the team to progress. And that, of course, in the first period is not going to be like being the race engineer who is basically directing the whole team and giving the advices to the racing drivers and, you know, going up to the podium at the end and having the champagne. So this is the end. You need to get there step by step.
Yes. Yes, so thank you very much for your attention, for your questions. And if you are interested in the any details of the Motorsport MSc, you can see on the screen the QR code when you can have more information on our website. And I sent you the invitation email, so you can reach me in email if you have any question. And yes, we hope we can see you next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.